Welcome to the...
Are we starting already?
Yeah, 37th episode of Open Waters podcast.
Wow. I'm excited. You want to know why I'm excited?
Why?
Because this Sunday will be our first Open Waters worship at our house at 5 p.m. where we're doing it on the first Sunday of the month. So I'm excited. Last time you went and did special worship with some friends.
Yeah, I went
but
to
this will be us this time.
Worship night in Camas, Utah, which is like a little past Park City. And it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was with a guy named Mike, and he has his family, and they started up their own little church that they do with their family, friends, and they're trying to grow the body of Christ in Camas. It's pretty cool. Super cool. Yeah.
So we're on video now, which is kind of cool. So you can catch us on YouTube. Hi, YouTube, if you're watching there. Otherwise, we, of course, have our normal streaming platforms of the Apple and Spotify.
We also do Google. If you want, there's a lot more other listed ones, but those are the main ones. I think the other ones are pretty marginal on who use those ones. If you use those other ones, like, you're just looking to be weird, but that's about it. So it's pretty much it. So
we're at the coffee shop hanging out, Josiah.
More about us.
What
is your favorite type of coffee?
Well, right now I drink decaf. I wouldn't say that's my favorite. One of my drinks that I love is not coffee. It's actually a chai latte, but I quit drinking it because it has too much sugar. So, but I just went to Hawaii, and if I had to pick a favorite coffee, it would be the Kona coffee that I got. Yum.
It's pretty good coffee.
It's a macadamia one.
It is pretty good, I will say.
Yeah.
But for me, man, I have a hard time choosing. But honestly, like just a good espresso is good. I went to Europe, and so I kind of got hooked on just
you did.
I want to get like an espresso machine and get some fresh beans and stuff like that. There's something I even saw where you can roast your own beans, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
The less time they've been roasted is like the more fresh or potent the coffee is, and so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so
we're at a coffee shop right now. Those of you who are watching a video can tell that. Those of you who are not may not know. I'm drinking my turmeric golden milk.
That's why we're spread apart. It's because there's a table in between us.
Yep.
But anyway.
So we were just talking, Josiah, and discussing a couple of topics that we wanted to dive into for the next few podcasts. And this week we landed on one talking about essentially outreach and going to the highways and the byways. And so that's what we're going to tackle today. And I don't know if you have any overarching thought processes on this.
I mean, other than that it's very important because, God was not supposed to stay within the four walls of the church. I mean, God calls the universe his throne. And I mean, in the Bible, it's called God's throne is the universe and earth is his footstool.
Yeah.
And so we're not supposed to keep him inside the four walls of the church building. The church itself is not the building itself. And so, I think it's important for us to move on from keeping it to ourselves, like the Pharisees and the people back then. They kept things to themselves. It was very strict in who could actually, be quote unquote. They didn't call it saved, but be religious and be up to the standard of Moses' law. And so it was very select, and I don't think they're going out of their way to, invite newcomers.
Yeah.
It's very much for the Israelites and the tribes, and then even more selective in who was worshiping, which is the Levites.
Yeah.
And so now we've gotten it opened up to we're the people being grafted in. We've been adopted, which is very cool.
Yeah.
That's putting it pretty lightly, but
yeah.
And so now it's our job as people that have been saved to now go out and to spread the same love that God gave us.
That's right.
And I mean, that's pretty much just the beginning of it,
Yeah, and we've kind of been touching on this. We've mentioned that we're kind of shifting our focus a little bit more from just gathering believers together to worship and to kind of intercede and pray, which we are doing. And there's a lot of people doing that. There's a lot of movements towards that end and people pushing into that, but also to more actually going out and reaching the harvest that is ripe. Like Matthew 9 talks about the harvest is ripe, and so the harvest is ripe and whatever, it's ready to be brought in, and the workers are few. And so we know that is something that is where we're moving in that direction, is because, and it's been a move from my heart for a while now, a few years in the making, of getting outside of the four walls. Like God has given us ample opportunity inside the four walls to be saturated in his presence. And it's a continuous thing, right? We never get enough, and we never want to walk away from being in his presence or seeking his presence or thinking we've arrived and we don't need any more. We always need more, and we're always growing, and there's always more that is being healed in us, and more capacity that's growing, and more space that's being created as we get more healed and whole for receiving more of him. So we're always in need of that. However, it's not meant to stay within us. It's meant to go, we're getting strong so that we can go out and reach those that are lost, and reach those that are dying, and reach those who are not, some people who don't even know Jesus, even in our country. Crazy, but true.
No, 100%. And it's, when you're going out and you're talking to people, it's not to be a discriminatory, like if someone comes up to you and starts being like, hey, you're wrong, you're going to go to hell. I think there's some people that could benefit from it, but I think even more so people are going to shut down because they're like, oh,
right.
People don't do really well with being told they're wrong.
Right.
And so,
communicating putting up people's defenses.
Yeah, it's not a great way to.
Don't help with anything, really.
Putting up people's defenses is not a great way to show love to them. But I think most importantly, when we're going out, it's literally just to be like Jesus's hands and feet, and it doesn't have to be anything massive.
Yeah.
And so. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but feel free to read that verse.
I want to read Matthew 22, which kind of talks about, so I'm just going to give an overview of it. I'm reading from the Amplified Version, and it's the parable of the marriage feast in Matthew 22. Yeah. And it just really talks about how the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. It starts off. So in that parable, it talks about how, God prepared everything. He created this whole environment, did everything, butchered the cat, butchered the sacrifice, made the sacrifice, and had invited all of his people. And basically they refused to come. So then he sent out some servants saying, tell those who have been invited, this is what I've done. Like, show them what he's done. Remind them of what he's done. Remind them of this place that's been prepared for them. But those people that were invited did not pay attention. And in fact, they turned against those servants of the Lord that went out to go tell them, remind them, hey, don't forget, you've been invited to this amazing wedding feast. And so then he's like, those invited guests actually turned on the servants and attacked them. And so the king got very angry, and he actually said, okay, we're going to go into the main highways that lead out of the city, this is verse 9, and invite to the wedding feast as many as you find. So those servants went out, they gathered together all the people they could, both bad and good. So the wedding hall was filled with dinner guests. And then from there it talks about, then the people that in the highways and the byways that were told about the truth of basically who God is, what he's done, this place that he's prepared for them. They came in, but then it was their choice once they came in to decide, and am I going to truly serve Jesus, or am I not? Am I going to accept Jesus, or am I not? But this is a whole, it's very evident that what it's saying is that we know about Jesus. And some of us, we've received him already, and now we're being invited to come. Yeah. But some of us are just forgetful, and we're not, and maybe even attacking those who are trying to remind us. But even if there's not attack, the point is Jesus it's time. It's time for us to go outside of the four walls. It's time for us to not just keep this inside. And here's the other thing. I think there's still kind of a push we're going to throw all these events and invite people to come to us. But what I'm noticing is there are fewer people coming to us. There are fewer people coming, and we can call it COVID, we can call it whatever. Yeah, exactly. But there's been a major shift. Yeah. And I think it's been God's intention always for us to go out into the harvest, to go out, the Great Commission, go into all the world, preach the gospel, baptize them in my name. That it's go out. It doesn't say bring them in. Maybe there are some scripture verses that refer to that,
I mean, it's discipleship's a big part of the walk with Christ, but again, that's the people that are, willing to, instead of be thrown out of the party and not, stand the test of time with Jesus. Those are the ones that, that just seek out discipleship and that stay. Those are the people that are going to make it past.
Yeah.
But also, I think in this parable, like, it talks about the people that there's the king, there's the servants, and then there's the people.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put ourselves into many different shoes, but I think the people that are truly going out, like the evangelists, the people that we're called to be, like, there's a lot of people that think that you only operate in one gift, but you operate in multiple gifts throughout your life. And so everybody's going to get their chance to be an evangelist. And so the evangelists are like the servants in that parable, where we're called to go out and we're called to go bring in as many people as we can to the party, whether that's just showing them the love of God and hopefully giving them a like an appealing aroma to draw them in, or it's literally inviting them, like I invited this one lady to the healing night. She didn't come, but I'm doing, it was just so shot from the hip. I just didn't even think about it. It was just like, oh yeah, we got healing night tonight.
Right.
So just like doing things like that show the love of God, that makes, like, it's not for yourself. It's not to bring yourself clout. It's not to make yourself look good in front of the church. Oh, look how many people I brought in. It's literally just to give God glory. Yeah. Because the King asked us to bring in as many people as we could. We're gonna go bring in as many people as we could to the wedding.
That's right.
And so and then you could put us in the shoes of the people that came in as well, and that we're called to go to this party, but how many of us have a bunch of excuses? Yeah. I'm too busy to go to church, or I work. I've actually got somebody that I know I'm pretty close to that he's just like, I'm working, so I've got more important things to do right now. It's just like, if you're saying something's more important than your soul, then you're unfortunately mistaken. Like, it's sad to see that that's where your mind is at, is that, okay, these things, there's not a single building. Like, I went to Europe, like I said, I've seen castles that have stood the time of thousands of years. And it's just like, here's the thing, is that there's not a single rock or a single building that's not going to end up in a pile of rubble at the end of the time. There's my legacy that I leave for my kids and stuff like that. It's going to all fall down at some point. And so I don't get to take any of it with me. That's not what I'm worried about. But it's like, even my kids aren't going to be able to take it with them. And it's going to, at some point, what I leave behind is going to fall. But we got to find out where our values
treasures
are. Yeah.
There will our heart be also. Yeah.
But sorry, what were we going to say?
No. Are you finished with your thought?
Oh, I was just going to say, so, I mean, if you're in the place of being an evangelist, being that servant and going out, just make sure you take it seriously. And, I don't think God's plan's ever foiled if you decide not to do it. So just think about it like this instead. Like, we talked about it at the healing night just very briefly. And then I talked about this with Manuel a little bit. And it's just like, if you don't do what God asks of you, someone else is going to. So don't act like you're the only piece in the puzzle that can fit that place. Unfortunately, God's going to have his plan done regardless. There is a unique side to, he chose you for this because he loves you and wants to use you, but he does not have to use you only. So, which can sound really like demeaning, and it's not meant to be. It's meant to be like, we have a choice because he's a good God, he's a good king. Like a servant is let out, he can run away or he can do what the master told him.
Well, I think he's just being passionate about the one sheep. There is,
exactly.
I don't know who the author is, but there even was it was going around social media recently where it's this Jesus was running after with great passion and zeal and concern in his eyes for that one lamb who got away, and just having its effect on some people. So he's passionate about it. But so I feel like what's happening is I think it's always been the case. Jesus made this mandate that we go out. And I think that especially right now, there's just, it's not going to do anymore for us to just meet within it's not going to be successful. It's not going to be as profitable. We need that space of church and coming in
100%.
And gathering together for our growth and for our benefit and for our strengthening and for our discipleship. However, the goal is not to just stay there. The goal is to then go out. And so I think where we've gotten stuck with just staying in that gathering place, that we're moving past that to going out now. And I think if we don't, and I think we're already seeing that, we're not seeing, it's not that numbers don't tell us success or not. However, if numbers are low, for instance, like Open Waters worship, right? When we started out, we had more people, right? It's kind of just been consistently fewer people. And so we're going to look at that and say, okay, God, are you still breathing on us doing this? Or is there something else that you have for us? That's what we did. That's what you spent a lot of time in prayer, and I've been thinking about it and processing it and bringing it before the Lord. Lord, do you want us to stay the course and not do anything else, keep it as is? Or are you kind of just, is this indicating to us to dig deeper into you and find out, is there something more or something else you want us to do? And both of us have felt like there's something more. We're feeling that urge to go out into the harvest, to go extend that invitation. And it doesn't mean like we're still going to have our once a month with our body. We're still going to have young adult type stuff happening, but we are going to be going out, hopefully, like we've talked about with the farmers market. And, I was in church the other day and I just was so struck by when we had some youth come up, and I think we've talked about this, spoke about them going into the malls and witnessing to people. And I was like, this is what we got to do. We got to get out. We got to do this. And you know what, Josiah? I am not evangelist motivated.
No,
that is
I'm not
not
either.
One of my giftings.
Unfortunately, for me.
I do not feel comfortable in that environment. It scares the heck out of me to even think about doing this farmers market. One, because it's out of my normal promptings, giftings. Even though we're all called doesn't mean, I have different gifts that I know will be offered in that moment, but just going out, it makes me very uncomfortable. The world is more tumultuous now. There's more violence against Christians. We've got border issues and all sorts of things happening that is making our cities, and it's happening all over the U.S. And if it's not yet, it will be. So that makes it a little bit more unsafe. And I have to put all that aside and say, Lord, if you have called us to this, not only if it's your will, it's your bill, but also if you've called us to it, you've given us all the tools we need for life and godliness and for reaching out. And when we open our mouths, you'll fill it with words. These are all things that the Bible says. But in addition, you're going to keep us safe because we are walking. And if like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, if we aren't okay, that's okay. We're going to still move forward, and we're not going to bow to the enemy of fear to not do what God says. And so
you can't catch any fish if you don't go out to sea. So, and what I mean by that is like we're called to be fishers of men. And so like the apostles were, they were like, God obviously took them off from whatever they were doing to be fishers of men, but we can't, like I said, we can't catch fish if we don't actually get into the boat and actually go and spread our nets. And so it's valuable to have a place to store your fish, which is great. That's what churches are, like the buildings themselves. That's a place to store your fish and to make sure that they don't rot, and to also make sure that they get turned into whatever product they need. And so
that's good.
And
did you hear that, or did you make that up?
No, I'm making this up.
That's really good, Josiah.
And so pretty much, hey, knuckles, nice. I'm glad you think it's good. But pretty much, it's like we need to be out fishing if the nets aren't going to spread themselves.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking to somebody too that has tried things before, but it wasn't in this season. And it's almost like God is saying, cast your net back on that side. And they're like, well, I've already done that. But God's like, cast your net again on that side. And so they're like, okay, I'm going to cast my net again on that side. And so some of you might be saying, well, I have already done all that. And God's saying, well, try it again. Try it again. Try casting your net in that way.
I think with Open Waters, it was like the disciples when after Jesus died, he showed up to them in the boat. And he was just like, well, he didn't show up to them in the boat, but they were packing up their nets. And he's just like, oh, go out to sea. We've been casting our nets all day. We haven't caught anything. Go cast on the other side. And then they caught a bunch of fish that they needed more people to bring in. I'm pretty sure that's a different story. I guarantee you it is. It's after Jesus died, and then he shows up to them being resurrected. Yeah. But anyway, it's like with Open Waters, we had to, we're not catching fish with what we were doing with the worship nights. Right. We have to go put our net on the other side. Right. What is God asking us to do? And that's to put it on the other side. And so we're going to cast this way. We're going to now spread our net this way. It's going to be in the farmers markets and in the public, and it's not going to be all, it's just the same thing.
So, and another thing that really we've been talking about this at church, I think ever since COVID, Sean Foyt has had a big influence for me on this. Another thing that I love, if you're not familiar with Ryan Horton, he's our Horton Worship on Instagram. And he will go out, like, I'm going to show you, Josiah, like, if they go out into the malls and stuff like that, they go out into the streets and they just start, like, they bring their whole sound system. Go look them up. They bring the whole sound system with them, and they just, like, this is Naomi. She sung a lot of stuff with Maverick City and stuff, but they'll go out and they just sing in the malls and in the public places on the streets and different things. And some people start out combative. They can be like they've seen these big dudes, like, you can tell they've lived the hard life, they've done some hard things, and they will melt when they start singing over them and they're just worshiping and they start prophesying over them. And I think that has really stirred my heart to also do some of the things that we're going to do and to get out there. And also I want to say too, when I've brought this up a few times, but I'm going to say it again in this context. We had Bethel come out, Tom Crandall and his group, and he is a big time evangelist. He was with the youth at the time. Now he's got One Hope for America, I think, organization that he's doing. But it's really cool because that was something where I said I'm not evangelist motivated. I'm not. But you don't have to be an evangelist motivated to go out and to invite people. And that is one, and this freed me up just to do it with whoever I'm in contact with, to be present with whomever I'm with, whether it's somebody that I know well, like you, Josiah, or if it's somebody that's the cashier, or it's somebody that I'm walking along the street, whatever it is, to just kind of be a conduit of his love. That's an invitation. But then also doing stuff like because what we want to do is we want to be at the farmer's market doing worship, and then also having a prophetic kind of encouragement booth where we're actually offering words over people and kind of speaking to them. And that can be kind of scary, but when Tom Crandall really came out here, he spoke about, and they mentioned this on Sunday too when the kids were testifying, that it's not about you. It's about them. They need to hear. They need that invitation. So when you make it about the other person instead of, I am so scared and this is really hard for me, you can acknowledge that, but then to push you past that, it's about the other person. And especially when you're doing it in community with others, don't just try to do this yourself. Latch on to and ask for discipleship from people who are gifted in evangelism. Partner with them. Have them go out with you as an encourager. Like, I'm watching this Ryan Horton, and it's encouraged me. I'm like, man, something stirs in me when I watch him, and I want to do that. Encourage yourself with those things and make it about those people that want to hear, like hardened people. I don't remember who it was, but I think it was Robbie Dawkins. But anyway, he was going to some kind of satanic thing and praying for this person that was all in this getup and they were just hurling kind of almost like insults, but then they ended up prophesying and praying over that person, and they broke down and cried. This witch, like warlock person. I mean, so anyway, just to encourage people who are kind of like me and are like, I don't know if I can. Don't make it about you. Make it about the other person.
If you can, you'll know if it's about you, because a lot of the time, like us as humans, we fail 10 times out of 10 trying to be God. And so if we let God be God, I got a hair in my mouth.
You do have a lot of hair around your mouth.
Gross.
It's probably your own hair, Josiah.
I know. It's still gross. Like I was saying, if we rely on ourselves and our own strength, we'll fail 10 times out of 10. And so if we just, let God step in and just, we're not evangelizing, like we said, for ourselves. We're not proclaiming our own name. We're proclaiming God's name. So if we just trust God's going to show up when his name's proclaimed. And it doesn't take much faith. It's like they say, it's a mustard seed faith, and it's not even given to us. We don't even have to have it. God gives us our faith, and so it's just like truly, it's not about us. And I'm looking forward to doing stuff like this. I think we could probably start relatively soon because it's starting to warm up. And we can start. I have a couple people that want to do stuff with us. Manuel, we want to do some chill music.
I want to partner with Gary Griffin Hagen too. He has a radio show. I don't know what it's called, but he also is just really skilled in evangelism, and I think I want to partner with him as well. But so we just want to encourage you too to
Is he in Utah?
Yeah, he goes to our church.
What? Oh, Gary. Yeah, Gary. I love Gary.
So I just want to encourage you, whether it's just like I had a rugby tournament for my son last weekend, and one of the kids, crazy, fractured his neck, but just reaching out and praying for people and letting them know you're praying. And, just I pray over those boys. And I every time I step into an atmosphere, that day there was a lot of violence on the field. Really, seriously, 2 teams, coaches were yelling, and it was crazy, as I'm sure some of you have experienced. I'm like, I am taking authority over the heavens right now. God, I'm calling down heaven onto this earth, and I'm praying peace. I'm praying the opposite, but even if it's that, and just bringing, praying into existence outside of the 4 walls of church, praying heaven come, and being a conduit for the Lord by his presence dwelling in you and just loving through you, to going and actually literally evangelizing on the streets. So, I want to encourage you to have strength and to pray into this, to see if this is something God is moving you towards, because I think he is doing it across the planet. All right.
Yeah. So, can I pray over it really quick?
Yeah, you or me? You.
You?
Me.
Because I did last week.
Okay, sure
This
thing.
is your topic as well.
Sure thing. Okay. God, we just thank you so much for this amazing time together to just process and to discuss, Lord, the things that you've been laying on our hearts. And Lord, I just pray that you, Lord, if you're calling us, I thank you that you've already equipped us and that you have provided everything that we need, God, to move out and to literally move out into the highways and the byways, and to move outside of the 4 walls of our church, and to take these beautiful gifts that we've been given and this beautiful invite that we've been given and take it out to the people who need it, God. We know that the harvest is ripe, and we are going to be your laborers. And I just thank you that you help us to find the people that we can partner with, and to really just be in tune with what you're doing and where you're doing it, God. Enable us and strengthen us to move out in the areas that really freak us out, God. And to make it not about us, but to make about the ones that those little lambs that you're trying to reach, God. I just thank you. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
We'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Peace.